the rain. It smells nice, but I hope we don't get rained on.
Oh, I thought that was an animal. That's a tumbleweed.
Oh, can you imagine?
This past weekend, I managed to get back to photographing people after a 2-year or so hiatus. I don't know, you are actually getting some directional light. I'm not sure how, but there's a little bit of pop from this side. No money, just for fun. Found somebody on the social medias. You may not like the wild hairs as much as I do, but I think it looks very alive.
Good on the picture.
Yes, I think so.
It doesn't feel great right now.
So cool. Funny, I didn't even notice really that we were mirroring each other's body and arm positions here. I don't even feel like I'm working. This direction's a little trickier.
Really?
It still looks good.
The light makes it weird.
It's just because it's so much brighter behind you than it is on your skin, but it's okay. Turns out this was my favorite shot of the day. Maybe that sucks to get your favorite shot over with so early, but I really like them all. It's not my favorite by that big of a margin, but I think that was the shot most like how I imagined I was going to shoot this session going into it, which really isn't a particularly good measure of the quality of an image, granted, but in this case I suppose it has sway or influence over my decisive powers. I liked that one. That one worked for me. And I use the expression favorite shot of the day, which might lead you to believe we shot for a longer period of time than we actually did. It was about an hour-long shoot, most of it battling with some pretty rough conditions. I like this one too. Cool thing happening with her face. I mean, she sold that one, is what I'm saying. That worked because she looks cool in it. It's just pretty straightforward otherwise. And speaking of straightforward, this is like the most obvious shot I could have taken. But again, like, both her face and the wind really sell it. And I like this shot a lot. Maybe not so much at social media size, but large enough to discern detail. Yeah, it's a cool shot. I wonder if we walked over the hill, maybe it would shield us from the wind. Just because it's like the wind is going with your hair there. So maybe favor this side, yeah. We're definitely on to something in this spot. Like an interesting amount of wind, an interesting amount of light, the right background. But that wasn't the keeper. Very cool shot. That's among my favorites as well. This is like the romance novel shot right here. Also one of those obvious ones that I probably shouldn't bother taking. Better use of my time would be to come up with something a little less obvious. That's cool. I like that one. Still a little romance novel-y. That little clump of grass right in front of your foot, will you just stand in front of it instead of behind it? Yeah. And after fiddling around for a couple of minutes, I found the shot. Very straightforward, but effective. That's the shot. That's the shot I was trying to find this whole time. Then I took the same shot again, but horizontally, kind of reducing her importance in the frame, and it was unnecessary, but might as well just do it while we're both standing there, right? No harm. Could have been cool, although I had the sense when I was shooting it that it probably was a waste of time. And then the wind just sort of became a nuisance. Just kind of impeded our ability to get anything. But I kept trying because, again, why not? We're both standing there. Here's the only example where we just put all our hair behind her and let the wind carry it kind of toward the horizon. And was that the right call, or like, is this the right call? Just have it kind of whip around in front of her face. It's hard to tell when you're out there, and it's honestly still unclear to me as I'm going through them now. So this is happening again.
That's the perfect description.
Okay, cool. Let's go to that pole.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. make sure it's not electric. It's not. Something leaning.
Yes. Do you want me to go over it?
Sure, yeah, that'd be awesome. If you feel comfortable.
Yeah, let me see if I think it'll work, right?
I tend to use Rembrandt lighting a lot in my portraiture career. Overuse it, maybe. Probably. So I try to refrain from using it when I can. But here's an example of me just saying fuck it, going the full-on Rembrandt lighting route. To whatever extent it's even doable, I try to be as creative and true to my own vision as possible. And it seems to me there was already another guy, famous, known for using Rembrandt lighting. Can't think of his name though. The other direction, same thing. Yeah, that makes sense. Good idea. Roll around it a little. Okay, yeah. Yes, cool. Cool indeed, you inarticulate, stuttering fuck. I like this shot and its companion shot, this one, quite a bit. My biggest criticism would be that it looks exactly like something I would shoot. And what about something...
Yeah.
And as kind of silly as that may sound, it's actually something I try to avoid where possible. Well, but that's my style, right? I mean, it could be a matter of style, but I guess what it feels like is a matter of being repetitive and boring. Something on the ground would be cool.
Here as well?
That's fine, yeah. And then my hope is that during that battle of instinct versus focused intention, that I'll discover something. What about lying back onto the...
Oh, yeah.
Light is real close to being good. Just angle a little bit more, I think, so it's not all getting you here. This loop up around her chest was giving me problems the whole time we were shooting. Somehow, I didn't notice it this time. Unfortunately for me and her. If I'm on the ground too, that could be interesting. Oh yeah, that's cool. It's a good lesson though. Open your eyes, look at what you're doing. And roll your face over this ways. Yeah, awesome. Despite the best of intentions, these ground shots kind of came out like local portrait studio, high school, senior portrait caliber images. And I would know because I worked for that studio and I'm responsible for putting thousands of these out into the world 15 years ago. Since then, I've repented for my transgressions. Yeah. I'm not sure. Try it, see if it's better. Entirely my fault, but at this point in the shoot, I'm thinking that we're just completely out of gas. I haven't really liked anything I've shot in a while. Quite a few frames. I sort of feel compelled to show the whole sign. Try something where you're actually covering it, like with your back against it. Boy, I can really tell that I'm struggling here, falling back on like stuff I used to do decades ago. But look, maybe I got lucky. She just falls into this really unique position. She almost looks underwater. And let's see how I react, you know. Certainly I wouldn't just not notice and move on. Let me get a full length, so maybe something with the leg at the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah. You fucking moron. Turned out cool anyway. Just maybe chalk this up to the long absence from doing portraits, shaking the rust off. An awful lot of rust. So much rust. But I like both those shots. The first one was better. I mean, the one she came up with. The one that doesn't exist. But they were fine. This shot, as straightforward as it may be, I think it also works quite well, and has no business working that well. And in addition to her just sort of looking like a badass, I can tell you from 20 years of coming home with 8,000 versions of this shot that didn't work over those years, that this only works because I shot it with a fast 50mm lens. And yes, specifically that focal length. Cool. But it wasn't one of my favorites or anything. I'm just saying that over time I cracked the code on those sorts of shots. This, however, is one of my favorites. Again, this is sort of how I envisioned shooting the whole thing. I just imagined less wind and more sun, so I had to adjust the plan. But this was the last good shot we got, because we immediately lost the light after that.
If we don't get any more light back, I'd just be in favor of wrapping it up, because we'll only go kind of downhill from here.
Exactly, and it is getting a little chilly.
All right, let's do it then. Let's call it. I'm very happy. So.
No, me too.
Cool.